Chapters 36 through 40 of Exodus from the Young's Literal Translation of the Bible. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapters 36 through 40 of the Book of Exodus from the Young's Literal Translation. Chapter 36. And Bezaleel and Aholiab, and every wise-hearted man in whom Jehovah hath given wisdom and understanding to know to do every work of the service of the sanctuary, have done according to all that Jehovah commanded. And Moses calleth unto Bezaleel and unto Aholiab, and unto every wise-hearted man in whose heart Jehovah hath given wisdom, every one whom his heart lifted up, to come near unto the work to do it. And they take from before Moses all the heave offering which the sons of Israel have brought in for the work of the service of the sanctuary to do it. And still they have brought in unto him a willing offering, morning by morning. And all the wise men, who are doing all the work of the sanctuary, come each from his work which they are doing, and speak unto Moses, saying, The people are multiplying to bring in more than sufficient for the service of the work which Jehovah commanded to make. And Moses commandeth, and they cause a voice to pass over through the camp, saying, Let not man or woman make any more work for the heave offering of the sanctuary. And the people are restrained from bringing, and the work hath been sufficient for them, for all the work, to do it, and to leave. And all the wise-hearted ones among the doers of the work make the tabernacle, 10 curtains of twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, with cherubs, work of a designer he hath made them. The length of the one curtain is 28 by the cubit, and the breadth of the one curtain 4 by the cubit. One measure is to all the curtains. And he joineth the 5 curtains one unto another, and the other 5 curtains he hath joined one unto another. And he maketh loops of blue on the edge of the one curtain at the end in the joining. So he hath made in the edge of the outmost curtain in the joining of the second. 50 loops he hath made in the one curtain, and 50 loops hath he made in the end of the curtain, which is in the joining of the second. The loops are taking hold one on another. And he maketh 50 hooks of gold, and joineth the curtains one unto another by the hooks, and the tabernacle is one. And he maketh curtains of goat's hair for a tent over the tabernacle, 11 curtains he hath made them. The length of the one curtain is 30 by the cubit, and the breadth of the one curtain is 4 cubits. One measure is to the 11 curtains. And he joineth the 5 curtains apart, and the 6 curtains apart. And he maketh 50 loops on the outer edge of the curtain in the joining, and 50 loops he hath made on the edge of the curtain which is joining the second. And he maketh 50 hooks of brass to join the tent, to be one. And he maketh a covering for the tent of rams' skins made red, and a covering of badgers' skins above. And he maketh the boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood, standing up. 10 cubits is the length of the one board, and 1.5 cubits the breadth of the one board. 2 handles are to the one board, joined one unto another. So he hath made for all the boards of the tabernacle. And he maketh the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side southward. And 40 sockets of silver he hath made under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under the one board for its 2 handles, and 2 sockets under the other board for its 2 handles. And for the second side of the tabernacle, for the north side, he hath made 20 boards, and there 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under the one board, and 2 sockets under the other board. And for the sides of the tabernacle, westward, hath he made 6 boards. And 2 boards hath he made for the corners of the tabernacle in the 2 sides. And they have been twins below, and together they are twins at its head, at the one ring. So he hath done to both of them at the 2 corners. And there have been 8 boards, and their sockets of silver are 16 sockets, 2 sockets under the one board. And he maketh bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the second side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the tabernacle for the sides westward. And he maketh the middle bar to enter into the midst of the boards from end to end. And the boards he hath overlaid with gold, and their rings he hath made of gold, places for bars, and he overlayeth the bars with gold. And he maketh the veil of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and twined linen, work of a designer he hath made it, with cherubs. And he maketh for it 4 pillars of shittim wood, and overlayeth them with gold. Their pegs are of gold. And he casteth for them 4 sockets of silver. And he maketh a covering for the opening of the tent, of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and twined linen, work of an embroiderer. Also its 5 pillars, and their pegs. And he overlaid their tops and their fillets with gold, and their 5 sockets are brass. Chapter 37. And Bezaleel maketh the ark of shittim wood, 2 cubits and a half its length, and a cubit and a half its breadth, and a cubit and a half its height. And he overlayeth it with pure gold within and without, and maketh for it a wreath of gold round about. And he casteth for it 4 rings of gold on its 4 feet, even 2 rings on its one side, and 2 rings on its second side. And he maketh staves of shittim wood, and overlayeth them with gold. And he bringeth in the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark, to bear the ark. And he maketh a mercy seat of pure gold, 2 cubits and a half its length, and a cubit and a half its breadth. And he maketh 2 cherubs of gold, of beaten work he hath made them, at the 2 ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherub at the end on this side, and 1 cherub at the end on that. Out of the mercy seat he hath made the cherubs at its 2 ends. And the cherubs are spreading out wings on high, covering over the mercy seat with their wings. And their faces are one towards another. Towards the mercy seat have the faces of the cherubs been. And he maketh the table of shittim wood, 2 cubits its length, and a cubit its breadth, and a cubit and a half its height, and overlayeth it with pure gold, and maketh for it a wreath of gold round about. And he maketh for it a border of a handbreadth round about, and maketh a wreath of gold for its border round about. And he casteth for it 4 rings of gold, and putteth the rings on the 4 corners which are to its 4 feet. Over against the border have the rings been, places for staves to bear the table. And he maketh the staves of shittim wood, and overlayeth them with gold to bear the table. And he maketh the vessels which are upon the table, its dishes, and its bowls, and its cups, and the cups by which they pour out, of pure gold. And he maketh the candlestick of pure gold. Of beaten work he hath made the candlestick, its base, and its branch, its calyxes, its knops, and its flowers, have been of the same. And 6 branches are coming out of its sides, 3 branches of the candlestick out of its one side, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of its second side. 3 calyxes, made like almonds in the one branch, a knop and a flower, and 3 calyxes made like almonds in another branch, a knop and a flower. So to the 6 branches which are coming out of the candlestick. And in the candlestick are 4 calyxes, made like almonds, its knops and its flowers, and a knop under the 2 branches of the same, and a knop under the 2 branches of the same, and a knop under the 2 branches of the same, are to the 6 branches which are coming out of it. Their knops and their branches have been of the same, all of it one beaten work of pure gold. And he maketh its 7 lamps, and its snuffers, and its snuff dishes, of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold he hath made it, and all its vessels. And he maketh the perfume altar of shittim wood, a cubit its length, and a cubit its breadth, square, and 2 cubits its height. Its horns have been of the same. And he overlayeth it with pure gold, its tops and its sides round about, and its horns. And he maketh for it a wreath of gold round about. And 2 rings of gold he hath made for it under its wreath, at its 2 corners, at its 2 sides, for places for staves to bear it with them. And he maketh the staves of shittim wood, and overlayeth them with gold. And he maketh the holy anointing oil, and the pure spice perfume, work of a compounder. Chapter 38. And he maketh the altar of burnt offering of shittim wood, 5 cubits its length, and 5 cubits its breadth, square, and 3 cubits its height. And he maketh its horns on its 4 corners. Its horns have been of the same, and he overlayeth it with brass. And he maketh all the vessels of the altar, the pots, and the shovels, and the sprinkling pans, the forks, and the fire pans. All its vessels he hath made of brass. And he maketh for the altar a brazen grate of network, under its border beneath, unto its midst. And he casteth 4 rings for the 4 ends of the brazen gate, places for bars. And he maketh the staves of shittim wood, and overlayeth them with brass. And he bringeth in the staves into the rings on the sides of the altar, to bear it with them. Hollow with boards he made it. And he maketh the laver of brass, and its base of brass, with the looking glasses of the women assembling, who have assembled at the opening of the tent of meeting. And he maketh the court at the south side southward, the hangings of the court of twined linen, 100 by the cubit. Their pillars are 20, and their brazen sockets 20. The pegs of the pillars and their fillets are silver. And at the north side, 100 by the cubit, their pillars are 20, and their sockets of brass 20. The pegs of the pillars and their fillets are silver. And at the west side are hangings, 50 by the cubit. Their pillars are 10, and their sockets 10. The pegs of the pillars and their fillets are silver. And at the east side, eastward, 50 cubits. The hangings on the side are 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And at the second side, at the gate of the court, on this and on that, are hangings, 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. All the hangings of the court round about are of twined linen, and the sockets for the pillars of brass, the pegs of the pillars and their fillets of silver, and the overlaying of their tops of silver, and all the pillars of the court are filleted with silver. And the covering of the gate of the court is the work of an embroiderer, of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and twined linen, and 20 cubits is the length, and the height with the breadth 5 cubits, over against the hangings of the court. And their pillars are 4, and their sockets of brass 4. Their pegs are of silver, and the overlaying of their tops and their fillets are of silver. And all the pins for the tabernacle and for the court round about are of brass. These are the numberings of the tabernacle of testimony, which hath been numbered by the command of Moses, the service of the Levites, by the hand of Ithamar son of Aaron the priest. And Bezaleel son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, hath made all that Jehovah commanded Moses. And with him is Aholiab son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and designer, and embroiderer in blue, and in purple, and in scarlet, and in linen. All the gold which is prepared for the work in all the work of the sanctuary, and it is the gold of the wave offering, is 29 talents, and 730 shekels, by the shekel of the sanctuary. And the silver of those numbered of the company is 100 talents, and 1,705 and 70 shekels, by the shekel of the sanctuary. A bekah for a pole, half a shekel, by the shekel of the sanctuary, for every one who is passing over unto those numbered, from a son of 20 years and upwards, for 600,000, and 3,000, and 550. And 100 talents of silver are to cast the sockets of the sanctuary, and the sockets of the veil, 100 sockets for the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. And the 1,705 and 70 he hath made pegs for the pillars, and overlaid their tops, and filleted them. And the brass of the wave offering is 70 talents, and 2,400 shekels. And he maketh with it the sockets of the opening of the tent of meeting, and the brazen altar, and the brazen grate which it hath, and all the vessels of the altar, and the sockets of the court round about, and the sockets of the gate of the court, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about. Chapter 39. And of the blue, and the purple, and the scarlet they made colored garments, to minister in the sanctuary. And they make the holy garments which are for Aaron, as Jehovah hath commanded Moses. And he maketh the ephod, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and twined linen. And they expand the plates of gold, and have cut off wires to work in the midst of the blue, and in the midst of the purple, and in the midst of the scarlet, and in the midst of the linen, work of a designer. Shoulder pieces they have made for it, joining; at its 2 ends it is joined. And the girdle of his ephod which is on it is of the same according to its work, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and twined linen, as Jehovah hath commanded Moses. And they prepare the shoham stones, set, embroidered with gold, opened with openings of a signet, by the names of the sons of Israel. And he setteth them on the shoulders of the ephod, stones of memorial for the sons of Israel, as Jehovah hath commanded Moses. And he maketh the breastplate, work of a designer, like the work of the ephod, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and twined linen. It hath been square, double they have made the breastplate, a span its length, and a span its breadth, doubled. And they fill in it 4 rows of stones. A row of a sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle is the 1 row. And the 2d row, an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the 3rd row, an opal, an agate, and an amethyst. And the 4th row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper, set, embroidered with gold, in their settings. And the stones, according to the names of the sons of Israel, are 12, according to their names, openings of a signet, each according to his name, for the 12 tribes. And they make on the breastplate wreathed chains, work of thick bands of pure gold. And they make 2 embroidered things of gold, and 2 rings of gold, and put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And they put the 2 thick bands of gold on the 2 rings on the ends of the breastplate. And the 2 ends of the 2 thick bands they have put on the 2 embroidered things, and they put them on the shoulders of the ephod, over against its front. And they make 2 rings of gold, and set them on the 2 ends of the breastplate, on its border, which is on the side of the ephod within. And they make 2 rings of gold, and put them on the 2 shoulders of the ephod below, over against its front, over against its joining, above the girdle of the ephod. And they bind the breastplate by its rings unto the rings of the ephod, with a ribbon of blue, to be above the girdle of the ephod. And the breastplate is not loosed from off the ephod, as Jehovah hath commanded Moses. And he maketh the upper robe of the ephod, work of a weaver, completely of blue. And the opening of the upper robe is in its midst, as the opening of a habergeon. A border is to its opening round about. It is not rent. And they make on the hems of the upper robe pomegranates of blue, and purple, and scarlet, twined. And they make bells of pure gold, and put the bells in the midst of the pomegranates, on the hems of the upper robe round about, in the midst of the pomegranates. A bell and a pomegranate, a bell and a pomegranate, are on the hems of the upper robe round about, to minister in, as Jehovah hath commanded Moses. And they make the coats of linen, work of a weaver, for Aaron and for his sons, and the mitre of linen, and the beautiful bonnets of linen, and the linen trousers of twined linen, and the girdle of twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, work of an embroiderer, as Jehovah hath commanded Moses. And they make the flower of the holy crown of pure gold, and write on it a writing, openings of a signet, Holy to Jehovah. And they put on it a ribbon of blue, to put it on the mitre above, as Jehovah hath commanded Moses. And all the service of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting is completed. And the sons of Israel do according to all that Jehovah hath commanded Moses. So they have done. And they bring in the tabernacle unto Moses, the tent and all its vessels, its hooks, its boards, its bars, and its pillars, and its sockets, and the covering of rams' skins, which are made red, and the covering of badgers' skins, and the veil of the covering, the ark of the testimony and its staves, and the mercy seat, the table, all its vessels, and the bread of the presence, the pure candlestick, its lamps, the lamps of arrangement, and all its vessels, and the oil for the light, and the golden altar, and the anointing oil, and the spice perfume, and the covering of the opening of the tent, the brazen altar, and the brazen grate which it hath, its staves, and all its vessels, the laver and its base, the hangings of the court, its pillars, and its sockets, and the covering for the gate of the court, its cords and its pins, and all the vessels of the service of the tabernacle for the tent of meeting, the colored clothes to minister in the sanctuary, the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons, to act as priest in. According to all that Jehovah hath commanded Moses, so have the sons of Israel done all the service. And Moses seeth all the work, and lo, they have done it as Jehovah hath commanded. So they have done. And Moses doth bless them. Chapter 40. And Jehovah speaketh unto Moses, saying, On the 1st day of the month, in the 1st month, thou dost raise up the tabernacle of the tent of meeting, and hast set there the ark of the testimony, and hast covered over the ark with the veil, and hast brought in the table, and set its arrangement in order, and hast brought in the candlestick, and caused its lamps to go up. And thou hast put the golden altar for perfume before the ark of the testimony, and hast put the covering of the opening to the tabernacle, and hast put the altar of the burnt offering before the opening of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting. And hast put the laver between the tent of meeting and the altar, and hast put water there. And thou hast set the court round about, and hast placed the covering of the gate of the court, and hast taken the anointing oil, and anointed the tabernacle, and all that is in it, and hallowed it, and all its vessels, and it hath been holy. And thou hast anointed the altar of the burnt offering, and all its vessels, and sanctified the altar, and the altar hath been most holy. And thou hast anointed the laver and its base, and sanctified it. And thou hast brought near Aaron and his sons unto the opening of the tent of meeting, and hast bathed them with water. And thou hast clothed Aaron with the holy garments, and anointed him, and sanctified him. And he hath acted as priest to me. And his sons thou dost bring near, and hast clothed them with coats, and anointed them as thou hast anointed their father. And they have acted as priests to me, and their anointing hath been to be to them for a priesthood, age during, to their generations. And Moses doth according to all that Jehovah hath commanded him, so he hath done. And it cometh to pass in the 1st month, in the 2nd year, in the 1st of the month, the tabernacle hath been raised up. And Moses raiseth up the tabernacle, and setteth its sockets, and placeth its boards, and placeth its bars, and raiseth its pillars, and spreadeth the tent over the tabernacle, and putteth the covering of the tent upon it above, as Jehovah hath commanded Moses. And he taketh and putteth the testimony unto the ark, and setteth the staves on the ark, and putteth the mercy seat on the ark above, and bringeth in the ark unto the tabernacle, and placeth the vail of the covering, and covereth over the ark of the testimony, as Jehovah hath commanded Moses. And he putteth the table in the tent of meeting, on the side of the tabernacle northward, at the outside of the vail, and setteth in order upon it the arrangement of bread before Jehovah, as Jehovah hath commanded Moses. And he putteth the candlestick in the tent of meeting, over against the table, on the side of the tabernacle southward, and causeth the lamps to go up before Jehovah, as Jehovah hath commanded Moses. And he setteth the golden altar in the tent of meeting before the vail, and maketh perfume on it, spice perfume, as Jehovah hath commanded Moses. And he setteth the covering of the opening to the tabernacle, and the altar of the burnt offering he hath set at the opening of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting, and causeth the burnt offering to go up upon it, and the present, as Jehovah hath commanded Moses. And he putteth the laver between the tent of meeting and the altar, and putteth water there for washing. And Moses and Aaron and his sons have washed their hands and their feet at the same. In their going in unto the tent of meeting, and in their drawing near unto the altar, they wash, as Jehovah hath commanded Moses. And he raiseth up the court round about the tabernacle, and about the altar, and placeth the covering of the gate of the court. And Moses completeth the work. And the cloud covereth the tent of meeting, and the honor of Jehovah hath filled the tabernacle, and Moses hath not been able to go in unto the tent of meeting. For the cloud hath tabernacled on it, and the honor of Jehovah hath filled the tabernacle. And in the going up of the cloud from off the tabernacle, the sons of Israel journey in all their journeys. And if the cloud go not up, then they journey not until the day of its going up. For the cloud of Jehovah is on the tabernacle by day, and fire is in it by night, before the eyes of all the house of Israel, in all their journeys. The end of chapters 36 through 40, and the end of the book of Exodus from the Young's Literal Translation of the Bible. Recording by Mark Penfold.